All right, welcome everyone. I hope you enjoyed the barbecue lunch that we just put on for you. Delicious hamburgers and veggie burgers. They were actually provided by our own cafe, the Innis Cafe. They catered it. So I don't know if any of you are aware, but we have our own cafe in the building. It's a fantastic cafe. It's all homemade food. It's a family that runs it, and it's really reasonably priced. So when you get here, I'm talking today about saving money. That's maybe a good way. They're not really expensive for a lot of the meals that they offer, and they're very delicious. So I just wanted to sort of get started. I did this in my first session. I'm just curious, how many people here live in Ontario? Raise your hand. Okay, so a lot of Ontario. Any people out of province? One. Anyone international? Ooh, welcome. All right, excellent. So a big thanks to everyone for showing up, especially the people that cross borders to be here. We really appreciate it. We are putting these videos online, so for people who are watching online, all the information is available. So we'll be recording all of our sessions. My name's Ryan Woolfrey. I'm the Associate Registrar covering the administrative portfolio in the Registrar's office here at Innis College. So I'm sort of in charge of the day-to-day running of the office, and I'm also the school's financial aid officer. So I'm here to talk to you about, first of all, the student web service, so your portal to enrolling courses, check your timetable, check your account balance, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to talk just generally about budgeting and what to expect financially for your first year of university, because I suspect a lot of you are probably stepping out on your own for the first time, learning how to manage a budget, how to get financial aid for yourself, and I'm just going to sort of go over all of the different ways that you can do that. So we're going to cover a few things. The first that we're going to do is ROSI access. So ROSI is the student web service. That's how you actually, that's how you interact with your course enrollment, with your fees, with your timetable, everything. That's how you sort of get into the university and enroll in your courses and such. Then we're going to talk about fees and registration. So that's another important one students have lots of questions about. By the way, if you do have questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask me. If it's something specific about your case, feel free to come up and talk to me after. I'm happy to speak with you one-on-one. Then I'm going to talk about program fees versus course fees. So there's a difference between the two, and I'll explain what that is. After that, we're going to talk about financing your education. So this is probably one of the most important things that you're going to be dealing with when you transition into your first year at U of T, is actually making sure that you're equipped financially to get through the year and beyond. And then, so we're going to talk about your resources and expenses. And finally, we're going to end with sources of financial help that are offered through the university and through Innis College itself. So we'll cover all of this material in the next half hour. The first that I want to talk about, though, is the student web service, called the SWS. So it's your access to your personal and academic information on ROSI. So ROSI is the repository of student information. So it's actually, we can access it from the back end, and you access it from the front end via the student web service, the SWS. So you log on rosi.utoronto.ca, and you can access all of your details. The information is also in the registration handbook and timetable. It's on page 47 to 48, so you might want to flip through this. The registration handbook and timetable was covered in the second session, where you're broken down by program. It's the smaller one. So on pages 47 to 48, it talks about the student web service. So check that out at some point. So there are online demos. So when you log into ROSI for the first time, you're going to be a little overwhelmed with everything that's happening, or maybe you won't, I'm not sure, but there are online demos to help you through the process. So what I'm going to do, there's two helpful demo videos that are available online. The first is the student web service overview, so everything that it offers. I'm not going to go through that one. The one that I'm going to go through deals particularly with course enrollment. So I'm going to show you exactly how to put yourself in your lecture sections, tutorials, and practicals, as outlined in the previous information session that you had where you were broken down into your respective course groups. So I'll do the course enrollment one. So we're going to briefly fly through that enrollment demo. So it's available online on rosi.utoronto.ca, and I'm just going to quickly open it up here. So when you actually log in, you will see this screen. So this is sort of the main landing screen. Update your current mailing address. You want to make sure that you have your most up-to-date mailing address on file, because that's what we use to send you all kinds of information. So update your information online. That's the first thing that you need to do. So you can see on the left, there's all sorts of options there. You have course enrollment, convocation tickets, a little bit far away yet, personal timetables, subject posts, programs of study, elections. You can order transcripts on here, graduation. administration, financial accounts, that's a really important one. So your account invoice is actually on the student web service. U of T does not send paper copies around. So you have to actually log in and check it. All of the information is there. Personal information, and then just some other stuff. So I'm going to sort of briefly fly through this here. Let's see if this works. So course enrollment. So when you log into when you click course enrollment, it's going to show you the sessions that you have, the last sessions that you were enrolled in. You'll see the bottom one here. It should be for you 2011-12 fall winter. Your status will be invited. When you enroll in courses, you'll have a status of being invited. There's a difference between enrolling in courses and registration, which I keep saying in all my presentations today. But registration occurs when you actually make your first minimum payment as outlined on your account invoice in the financial accounts tab here on ROSI, or officially defer your fees, which will be an option that pops up for you if you apply for OSAP soon. Ideally by the end of the month, it'll pop up. So right now it says invited. That means that they haven't made that first minimum payment, or they haven't officially deferred their fees. So if you go, keep going on here. So before adding courses, you can check availability by viewing the timetable and spaces. So you can actually plug in 1 or 2 courses. You can select a couple if you want. And you can plug in those activity codes. So you can actually put in the activity code of the course that you want. So ABS 230H1, it's the half course, because it's an H. The section code is F, that's the first session. So you can search by course code and session, and then you click on, so this person's doing English 110, that's a full year course, the Y, and the section code is Y. View timetable and space. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly because it is kind of intuitive. I think once you get into it, you really will get a feel for what's going on. It's not rocket science, you just kind of have to get used to it. But you can actually see all of the spaces that are available, in particular lecture sections, tutorials, and practicals for all of them. So if you click on here, you can choose all sections, you can choose just lectures, show lecture only, tutorial only, practical only for each course, and then you click on manage courses, and that's where you actually add a course. So you can go in and click that same ABS 230, the half course that you want. Section code is always important, so it's the F course. And you click submit. And then it comes up 20 spaces available in 5101. So in lecture section 5101, which you'll find outlined in your registration handbook and timetable, you'll see that there's 20 spaces left. So it'll actually tell you how much room there is in the course. And it'll tell you the time. So click add meeting section. So then it'll pop up with a message up top that says you've successfully added this course. And then you can just continue on from there. So you can do your English 110Y, and it's the Y section code, lasts the full year. And then you click submit. So you can go in, there's 2 options. So you can pick either lecture 0101 or 0201. You can see that there's 250 spaces available in each, and it lists the time. So you just continue on, and you'll do, you can actually list your courses after that. So you can list to see what you've done, so you can actually see what you've currently enrolled in, and then you can manage the courses from the side. Another really helpful thing that it offers is the personal timetable. So if you click on personal timetable, it will actually show you, based on what you've enrolled in, how your schedule looks. So it'll pop up all the courses, the lecture sections, the location, and the time of the course. So it'll show you that. And now a lot of students are really curious about where their courses are located, because unfortunately the registration handbook and timetable doesn't have that information. It has East, West, and Central, just generally, but you will actually know where your classes are when you enroll in them here. And the nice thing about this is they've integrated it with Google Maps, which is really cool. So you can see all of your courses on a Google map. You can click on them. You can get directions from where you are. You can see how far apart your courses are, so you can see sort of what kind of walk you're having. Keep in mind that it gets very cold here in winter, so a long walk might be kind of painful, but sometimes you can't avoid it. You can zoom in. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can do on here. You can get directions. You can see what departments are there in each building. So all of that information is connected with Google Maps. If you want to look at the satellite view, it's a lot of just random stuff like this. You can also do it for the other campuses. So if you're taking a course at UTM or UTSC, you can check that, and it'll tell you exactly where it is. So back to the course timetable here. So it wants to add a course to see if it conflicts with one in the current timetable. And you might run into this where you're adding courses and they conflict. So it will actually tell you, it allows you to add courses that conflict because sometimes you need it temporarily. Like if you're on a wait list for a course and it's conflicting with another one and you're going to work it out later, that's an example of when you would have a course conflict. But it will actually highlight those for you on the student web service. So say if you tried to add Anthropology 100Y. So it's the full year course. The section code is Y because it lasts for both the fall and winter session. And then you click submit. So you can see all of these here, all of the lecture sections. The one available 5101 is Tuesday, Thursday. And then you click add meeting section. And then it says you successfully added the course. So it lets you add the course, the status is approved, so it's fine. But then when you go to list courses, it'll show you that the last course was added. It'll add it to the list, and then when you click view personal timetable, it shows up in red. It says that you have a conflict between two courses. So you can actually see if you've added a course that conflicts with another one. So just pay attention to that. Make sure that you are very aware and cognizant of the fact that your courses are conflicting, because that's a problem. So you can, I can't remember what else this does here, manage your course. So you can manage your courses here, drop them. You can join the wait list. So if there's a wait list for a course, it will be on the bottom down here. So it'll say lecture section 0101, enrollment category is full. There are 2 spaces in the meeting section, currently 0 students on the wait list. So you can see when you add yourself what spot you're at on the wait list if you want to join it. So there's no section available for this course, but you can add yourself to the wait list. So you just click there, and then click join waitlist, and then it'll pop up with the screen that summarizes, and you click confirm to add yourself to the waitlist. Like I said, you guys, this is pretty straightforward. It just prompts you screen by screen, but it is nice. I wanted to sort of show you while you're here so you know what to expect when you log in. And then you can list courses, and it'll show you separately the ones that you have waitlisted. And likewise, I think the next thing that it does here is drop the courses. So you can actually drop courses if you want using the menu on the right-hand side under drop course. Keep in mind that there are drop deadlines, academic drop deadlines for courses. So those are all listed in the calendar. So all of the last day to drop a course without academic penalty is listed for each section code course that you're enrolled in. But keep in mind that the refund deadlines are separate. That doesn't apply to most people because you're all paying a program fee, which I'll talk about later. But for example, in the summer, if you were to take 2 courses and drop 1, the refund deadline is different than the academic drop deadline, which was explained in the earlier sessions. So this person's going to drop from the waitlist, confirm waitlist removal, and then it's done. So it sends a final confirmation message. So at the top of the screen, every time that you do something, it will actually show you the notes up there. I don't know how clear that is. It seems a little fuzzy. But it'll tell you everything that you've done on the message up top. So then you list your courses. So that's basically sort of a quick overview, but also keep in mind that there's that list on the left where you can do all sorts of things. Course enrollment is the one that you're going to do on July 25th. You're going to log into ROSI on July 15th to check your start time on July 25th. Everyone's assigned a different start time. Some people will be at 6 a.m., some people would be at 10 a.m. It depends really, sort of, it's luck of the draw when your start time is. And then on the 25th of July, you can log in, click course enrollment, and begin adding courses right away. So you do that on this screen here. So that's pretty much the demo. Any questions so far? All right, excellent. So I'm just going to pop back to the presentation here. So that was the course enrollment demo. So when you first log into the student web service, your ID is your 9-digit student number. So you were assigned a 9-digit student number when you received admission to U of T. That's your student number. And your initial password is your birth date. And it's in the form of year, month, day. So when you first log in, that's the password you're going to do. Once you're logged in, the very first thing that you'll be doing is setting up your own password. Make it something secure. Make sure that no one else has access to your ROSI account. Check and update your mailing address. Like I said, that's one of the most important things to do right off the bat is to update that, update your email addresses. And there are many features and options. Like I said, you can enroll in courses, enroll in programs. That will be after your first year once you've completed four full course equivalents and met any other requirements that the program has. You'll be able to request enrollment in a program. You can check your account balance. So once you sign up for courses on July 25th, you'll see your financial accounts tab will have charges on it. You'll have, generally speaking, a program fee added, and you'll be able to see exactly how much that is. You have to enroll in courses first before you actually receive that information on your invoice. And you can order a transcript, print tax forms. So if you need your T2202, you can print that off right on ROSI. So fees and registration was the next thing I want to talk about. And I keep saying this, but it's really, really important. Registration is very different than enrolling in courses. You enroll in courses on July 25th at your start time, but you're not actually registered until you've made that first minimum payment. It's indicated on your account invoice. It'll actually say exactly what the minimum payment is that's required to register. So make sure that you do that by August 23rd. That's the absolute last deadline to either make that minimum payment or officially defer your fees. So if you're applying for OSAP, OSAP, apply before the end of this month, and you'll see an option on that student web service to officially defer your fees. You have to click that button to defer your fees before the 23rd of August. If you apply for OSAP late, come on in and talk to us, because we can actually arrange it so that we can defer your fees for you. We just need proof that you're on OSAP. But it's much easier if you apply now, because then the option is available for you on the student web service. And if you don't make your minimum payment or officially defer your fees, either on ROSI or through the Registrar's office before the 23rd of August, this is really important. You're going to lose your spot in your classes. So you're going to have spent all this time picking out all of your lecture sections, tutorials, practicals, and then you're going to see that if you don't pay that minimum fee by August 23rd, you're going to be removed from them. There is a little bit of a grace period afterwards to allow for bank processing, so if you paid on the 23rd, it would be fine. But just keep in mind that do it as soon as you can, either paying that minimum balance as indicated on your invoice, or the official fee deferral. So everyone in this room is actually going to be charged a flat rate program fee initially. So every student who enrolls in at least 3 credits, so full-time status, pays a flat rate. So it doesn't really matter how many courses you take between 3 and 6, you're paying the same program fee. So the program fee is roughly equal to the cost of taking about 5 credits if you were to pay per course. So how much is the program fee? The approximate amount, so this excludes incidentals, is about $5,450 for domestic students and $25,826 for international. So pick your jaws up off the floor for a second after seeing the international fee. You should know that that is actually the real cost of attending U of T. Domestic students are subsidized by the government, so that's why domestic students pay a lower rate. So the Canadian government expects that as international students, if you're coming here, that you have enough money to study. So the fees are higher for international students, unfortunately. There's different fee schedules. Take note, students in commerce, computer science, and bioinformatics and computational biology, they're deregulated programs. All of the other program fees are what we call regulated. So the deregulated fees are actually more expensive. So if you're in commerce, starting in your 2nd year, you will be paying a higher program fee. And I went over that in the commerce session today. Incidental fees are costs, they cover costs related to student groups and services and some specific college fees. So like your Heart House access, gym access, student society fees, you know, all sorts of fees that are just associated with different things around campus that you pay for that are subsidized by the student population. For Innis, incidentals work out to approximately $1,100, which is roughly in the middle of all the colleges. So we don't pay super high fees, but we're also not the lowest. We're sort of right in the middle. I want to talk quickly about per course fees. If a student takes less than 3 credits over the fall-winter session, they may be changed to per course fees. It's approximately $521.60 per course. That you take per half credit, excuse me. When I say course, I mean full credit, so this is $521 per half credit. If you take less than 3, you're considered part-time as well, and your incidental fees decrease. So keep that in mind if you're planning on being a part-time student. When you first enroll, though, you're going to be charged the program fee. So you're always charged the program fee first. In January, your course load is automatically assessed. So some students who are at less than 3 will be converted to per course fees. So there's a little sort of calculation based on when you drop your courses that they calculate in January. And there's a potential that you can be converted to per course if you're taking 2.5 credits or less. Most people in this room probably will be taking a full-time course load, I'm assuming. So you will be paying the program fee, but this is sort of for info. Before that, if you wish to be charged per course, you know that you're only going to be doing 2.5 or less, come into the registrar's office because we can make the change on your fee schedule for you. So we can adjust you back and forth throughout the year from program to per course fees, but if you drop F or Y courses, so courses that start in September, if you drop them after the 30th of September, or for courses that start in the winter, S courses, after the 17th of January, they'll still be counted in your total course load for fee assessment purposes. What does it mean? It's sort of a roundabout way of saying that if you are in your courses for too long, the faculty will charge you the program fee because you're taking up a spot in those 3.0 courses past those dates. So just the bottom line is that if you want to take fewer than 3 credits this year and you want to pay per course fees, you need to drop your courses very early on. Come in and speak with me if you're considering dropping to part-time status, and I'll sort of walk you through the process and we can talk about that individually. So, but for the rest of you, you will be paying program fees. And you do get the most bang for your buck, so to speak, by taking a full course load. That said, every student experiences university life differently. Everyone takes a different course load. A lot of people take 5 credits. Some people take 4 in their first year. It's really up to you. It depends on what you can handle, what you're ready for. The transition from high school to university can be bracing for some people. It's more difficult, university, so sometimes students will take fewer credits, but you're still paying the same amount. Keep that in mind. So don't go over 5 without care. I would hardly ever advise anyone in their first year to take 6 credits. That's a really heavy load, especially where you're trying to make that transition from high school to university. You can enroll in 6 credits. You're permitted to enroll in 6 credits. That's the maximum when the 5th of August arrives. That's when the priority period comes off, which we talked about in the second session on the registration handbook and timetable. And that might be useful to shop or give room for waitlisted courses. So if you're in a full 5 course load, but you really want another course, you can waitlist it if it's full as a 6th course. You're permitted to do that. But be nice. Don't take up spots in courses if you know you're not going to take them, because that really it prohibits someone else from taking a spot in that class. So be a friendly citizen. Don't do that. So the next thing I want to talk about, so that was sort of the student web service and the fees. Now I want to talk a little bit about financing your education. So if you don't have the money, don't buy it. It seems like a pretty simple principle, but a lot of us tend to live outside our means. We tend to sort of spend more money than we actually take in, and it's important to really take stock of what money is coming in, known as your resources, and what's going out, your expenses. So it's simple, and it seems really simple when you see it in a clip like this, but it's a concept that evades everyone from a first-year university student right up to the government of the United States of America. Everyone is living beyond their means. So keep that in mind and make sure that if you're buying something, you actually have the money for it. Obviously, there are exceptions. You're obviously getting loans and things like that. A lot of people are. But that counts toward your resources. I'll get into that in a second. I want to talk just briefly about the University of Toronto policy on student financial support. So in 1998, April of 1998, the Governing Council says that no student offered admission to a program at the University of Toronto should be unable to enter or complete the program due to lack of financial means. So the University of Toronto has a very strong financial support system for students, but it's based on the fact that they assume that you are exhausting all possible resources first. So those resources can include anything from grants, bursaries, scholarship, OSAP, provincial loans, work-study positions, part-time work, all that kind of stuff. Student loans always come first. They expect that if you are financially needy, that you will be getting student loans. That signals to the university that you have financial need, and I'll explain later that that opens up a door for all sorts of awards that require financial need as one of their criteria. So yeah, they want you to take advantage of all of the resources available to you. So the key to financial management is planning ahead. It's very simple, but a lot of people really just don't do it. I myself, I don't do it all the time. It's easier said than done, and I understand that. But it's really important as you step out on your own for the first time that you realize that budgeting is extremely important. For a lot of students in this room, finances can be really tight. You're on student loans, you're stretched, you're paying expenses. So you have to make sure that you're really planning ahead and you plan for the entire 8-month period, exactly what it is that you'll have coming in and what it is that's going out. So realistically, tally all available resources and income. You got to realistically project your expenses, and I say realistically. Don't do the very baseline of what you think your expenses are. Plan ahead. Make sure that you're budgeting everything into that. Then make a budget and seek help if you run into financial trouble. I'm available for financial counseling all the time. You can book an appointment with me, and there are lots of resources on campus to help if you run into financial trouble. Resources that students take advantage of for funding their education. I've just compiled a short list. So family might be helping you pay, your own income or your savings, RESPs, scholarships, OSAP student loans or other loans, and part-time jobs are a lot. Some students get part-time jobs. I just wanted to say a quick note, OSAP expects that you work and save money during the summer. So if you're applying for OSAP, they expect that you work about 30 hours a week in the summer between the time that you leave high school and the time that you start university. That's calculated into your assessment. If you don't find a job in the summer, it's possible to appeal, to show that you weren't able to get a job and make that money and appeal your OSAP assessment. But they do expect you to be working during the summer. That's That's the bottom line with OSAP is that, and other student loans, that they really want you to be working when you're not in school, so that you can sort of chip in. Scholarships, admission scholarships, you'd know already if you got one. Letters were sent out in the mail. Congratulations to everyone who received one. Don't be discouraged if you didn't get one. It's very tough. The marks were very, very good this year, but you would already know if you got a scholarship. That said, there are lots of in-course scholarships that are offered once you achieve 5, 10, and 15 credits. You will actually be automatically considered for a lot of scholarships. There's no application necessary as long as you have the minimum marks required and meet the criteria. Then you're automatically considered for those merit scholarships after you complete those credits. So admission scholarships, in-course scholarships. There are also scholarships that require application. A lot of these are extracurricular or leadership scholarships. Innis College offers quite a few of those. The applications for these are due in April of every year. Take a look at our website, the Innis website. There's a scholarships and financial aid page on there. So we list all of the deadlines for these scholarships, what they are, what the criteria is, and where to download the application. And then you just bring it into the registrar's office. And there are scholarships like extracurricular or leadership scholarships at graduation. So once you finish, if you've done lots of extracurricular activities and you've made a real difference to the college, there are scholarships available for students like that. So get involved is the bottom line. It's not just about marks. There are lots of scholarships offered for a variety of reasons. The bad news is that there's no single comprehensive complete database of scholarships, unfortunately. I really wish there was, because students really have to be proactive in searching out all of the resources for scholarships that are available to them. There are several useful links on our Innis website if you want to check it out, but keep your eyes and ears open. A lot of charitable organizations in the community offer scholarships, so if you check around and check their websites, often they do. Workplaces, yours or your family's, sometimes your family's workplace will offer a scholarship for dependents, so have your parents check into that if they haven't already. Ask questions around the university. Come in and speak to me to see if there's anything that I can think of that you might be eligible for. I'm happy to talk to you about it. And there's just some odd ones out there that are missed. So be resourceful is the bottom line. Do lots of research. Google is your best friend. Find out all of the scholarships that are available to you, because there are a lot of them out there. I'm just going to speak about a little bit about OSAP and provincial loans. So for OSAP, you need Canadian citizenship and Ontario provincial occupancy, which should be residency, sorry, provincial residency. So there are qualifications for OSAP that you have to live in Ontario. It looks at your income, family income, and living situation, and then it looks at your expenses, so whether you're living at home or living away. Apply now if you haven't already. I hope that most of you, if you're planning on applying for OSAP, have applied. If you haven't, please go home and do it very, very soon. It can take a little while to get through the application process, but it is all online at that link, the OSAP website, or if you just type OSAP into Google, it'll come up. So you apply online. There is a paper application that you can do. It does cost $10 to fill out the paper application. It's kind of a pain and it's pretty long and it wastes trees. So the online application is a lot better. It's much more efficient and it'll save you time and money. So if you can do that, that would be great. They are the best loans out there, really, when you think. Oh, sorry, question. Yeah.
Just about OSAP, how long should it be after we complete our application before we hear back?
So the question is, how long after you apply will you hear back from your notice of assessment, I assume you mean. So you should have received an estimate when you applied, but partway through the summer, I don't know the exact date because it depends when you apply. They'll send it to you via mail. They'll send you a notice of assessment that says what your assessment will be. Now, I'll speak about this in a second, but you can appeal that assessment. So the way OSAP works is that they adjudicate everyone the same. They look at your income, your expenses, family situation, all of that kind of stuff, and then you can appeal that assessment if you feel that you have grounds to appeal that and you need more money. So for example, like I mentioned, if you didn't find work in the summer but you were actively seeking employment, you can appeal it. If there are extraordinary circumstances in your case, you can appeal it. There's a few different appeal options that you have. The Office of Admissions and Awards on campus is a terrific office for questions about OSAP. They're located at 172 St. George Street, so they're just across from the St. George subway station. They have OSAP counselors there that you can talk to. So it's called the Office of Admissions and Awards. That's the central office on campus. But yeah, to answer your question, it should be, I'm not sure what the exact date is, but it's sort of on a rolling basis throughout the summer. So you'll get an actual piece of mail that will be a notice of assessment, and it will also be on the OSAP website. When you check your status, it should show up. Yeah. So they are the best loans out there. They're interest-free while full-time, so as long as you're in full-time studies, they're interest-free. If you take OSAP, let's say in 1 year, and you don't need it the next year, you can fill out what's called a continuation of interest-free status form to make sure that you're not paying back interest while you're a full-time student. So you can tell OSAP that you're still full-time even though you're not on loans, and they'll hold off on the interest payments until 6 months after you finish your last exam when you graduate. There are variable rates to pay back. The great thing about the OSAP program is that it's integrated. So there's a loan portion of it, but there's also grants that you qualify for automatically by filling out the application. So there's the Ontario Access Grant, Canada Student Grants, like if you're in a low-income or middle-income family, childcare bursaries, you're considered for all of these automatically when you do that one OSAP application. So it will actually tell you exactly what you're eligible for, and it'll be included in your assessment. And being on OSAP opens doors to some scholarships and part-time work. So like I was saying, if you're on record with the university as being a student loan recipient or an OSAP recipient, you're automatically considered for financial need awards. So make sure that you are applying or that you are taking loans if you need them, because it opens up doors to scholarships and part-time work. Work study program is a great program that offers on-campus work opportunities for students. So they actually have part-time jobs that are available. You can work up to 12 hours a week for $10.25 an hour if you're on OSAP. So they're for students who are actually on OSAP. I just want to say a few more things about OSAP before I move on. The maximum OSAP that you can get for loans is $11,500. It's about $350 a week. So it's not, they don't shower you with money. This is enough to sort of get by and to fill in the gaps where you're not able to make ends meet. I talked a little bit about the appeal process. I want to mention for OSAP, you have to be in a 60% course load in both semesters. So in the fall semester, you have to be in 3 full credits at least, and in the winter semester, you have to be in 3 full credits at least. So you can't do 4 and 2 and say that you have a 60% course load. It has to be at least 3 and 3. And if you do drop a course, so pay attention to this because this is really important. If let's say you have a full 5 course load and you apply for OSAP and you're given an assessment and then you drop 1 or 2 courses or drop below 60%, they will actually ask for money back. You will get a letter in the mail saying, give us our money back, essentially, from the government because you dropped below the course load that you had indicated on your application. So the best thing to do is that if you do drop a course, notify admissions and awards immediately, and they'll inform you of all of the sort of options that you have and what to expect. So the earlier you let them know and the more up-to-date you are with OSAP, the less trouble you'll run into down the line. So really it's worth putting the effort in to sort of let people know when things happen. So bank loans and lines of credit are another way that some students will finance their education. It's an option if OSAP or other resources are not possible. So OSAP and other government loans are almost always preferable to these because they're interest-free while you're full-time. There's just no better loan out there. There's special student rates. Lines of credit can be from $5,000 to $10,000. That they will give you. Repayment starts 6 months after you completed your studies, and a cosigner is likely required for lines of credit and bank loans. So keep that in mind. Should I work part-time? I get this question a lot. Lots of students do work part-time. Lots of students don't work part-time. It depends on your particular situation and sort of how you're doing in your courses. My recommendation is not to work part-time for the first semester. Assess your academic standing at the end. And then if you need a part-time job, you can start one in January. That said, if you really are in financial trouble and you need to sort of work, come on in and speak to me and we can sort of talk about options and how to properly manage your course load against your part-time workload because you want to make sure that you're really committing to your studies and that you're succeeding academically. And that's sort of what I'm going to talk about financials. You want to make sure that financial pressures aren't impacting your studies because that's sort of one of the worst things that can happen. Be careful how much you commit, monitor the impact, and come and talk to me if there's a problem. So I'm just going to talk briefly about expenses that students run into. So there's one-time or upfront expenses, and then there's monthly expenses. The one-time upfronts, the most common are tuition, residence, moving, travel expenses. If you're coming here internationally, it can be really expensive to move here. So those are one-time costs that you have to account for. Monthly expenses are things like rent, utilities, food, personal care, miscellaneous, entertainment, phones, internet, laundry, and interest charges on your student account. So starting in, I think it's November 15th, they start charging you 1.5% per month on any leftover balance that's on your student account. Now remember, you have to pay the majority of it by the 23rd of August. So the gray area expenses are where students really run into a lot of trouble. So they're able to sort of account for their tuition and all those kinds of expenses, but it's the gray area that really causes them a lot of problems. So clothes and accessories. I mean, it's tough because we live in a really wonderful city. Toronto's amazing. There's a lot of ways to spend money in the city, believe me. There's also a lot of things to do for free in the city. The ROM, the Royal Ontario Museum, has certain days where it's free. The AGO has certain days when it's free. So, I mean, take advantage, just do some research and see what free opportunities there might be available. You know, people might spend money on clothes or accessories. Obviously you need them, but don't go hog wild buying all sorts of clothes if you really can't afford it. Again, don't buy stuff you can't afford. It's tough because we are very close to one of the nicest shopping districts in Canada up in Yorkville, but resist the temptation for the new Marc Jacobs bag. Eating out is a really big expense that a lot of students run into. What happens is a lot of students plan for grocery money, but then they also end up spending a lot of money eating out. I usually say $250 a month should be your food budget. If you're going over that, you should really start reining in your expenses, because that's where you can just sort of spend $5 on a cappuccino here and $5 there, and it all adds up. I mean, even if you were to think Starbucks, if you were to spend $5 a day on, you know, a caramel macchiato 5 days a week, that's over $800 over the course of your fall-winter session. That's a lot of money. So those little things that you don't notice, that you're just sort of shelling out on a daily basis, they really do add up. Entertainment, going to movies, seeing concerts. It's not to say that you shouldn't do those things, it's just that you have to plan for them. That's the key point I want you to leave with, is that you have to plan ahead for all of these things. So put it together and plan it out. So our registrar's office, on the website, we actually offer a budgeting document online. It allows you to plug in all of the expenses across all of those categories for all of the fall-winter session, and then plan it out and see what your total financial need would be. And in your package, I actually included, I did up a little budget sheet, so you can actually plan your first year expenses. So there's one column for income, one column for expenses. So your income would be things like savings from summer employment, expected earnings from part-time work if you choose to work during the year, parental support and family, RESPs, government, other loans, government income, so like if you're getting a GST rebate, you can factor that in, any scholarships, and then any other income. So you can see the list of expenses is actually quite a bit longer because students have quite a lot more expenses when they get here. Tuition and incidental fees, I'm going to run through these because I really want to highlight sort of some of these things that you might not think about. Textbooks and course materials, that can really add up pretty quickly. Equipment and supplies, computer ink, you know, all of the stationery, everything they need for class, your rent or your residence fees. Food, like I said, $250 a month, try to aim for that as a maximum. Transportation, if you want a Metro pass, they just keep going up and up and up. I think it's like $120 a month for a TTC pass. So just factor in whether you actually need a Metro pass or whether you can get by buying tokens. That might be a better option for you if you're living downtown. You really have to use it twice a day, 5 days a week to make it worth your while for a Metro pass. Telephone and internet, a lot of people have cell phones and landlines. Watch the smartphone plans. They can be really high. If you have an iPhone, you can be paying like $85 a month for a plan. So just be very careful about what kind of phone you have and how much you're paying for it. Entertainment, recreation, movies, concerts, uninsured dental work, and then personal care costs. So what you want to do is you want to total up all of your income and all of your expenses on this side, add it up. If your expenses are more than your income, you have a problem. That means you have to rein back on your expenses or find more income. Again, don't spend money that you don't have. So there's challenges of budgeting. It's about estimating and revising. So you have to be vigilant and constantly, your budget is a living thing. You have to be constantly evaluating. So track your past spending costs. Take a look at your bank account for the last month. What are you spending your money on? What's the money going out toward? And adjust for any changes that come up. And stick to your budget. This is really important. It's one thing to create a budget. It's a whole other thing to stick to it. So monitor your spending. And keep in mind, be a long-term planner. Keep in mind that you need this money for the entire 8-month period. So, emergencies. A lot of students run into really unexpected situations, like their computer exploding or their bed catching on fire or any other array of things that I hear in my office on a day-to-day basis. So there are lots of unexpected situations that you might run into where you didn't budget for it. That's the point, is that if you budget, you should be able to cover all of your expenses. But there are things that come up that are outside of your control. So there could be some dental or medical expenses that aren't covered by OHIP or UHIP. Emergency travel, something happens at home and you have to get on a plane and head back, family or personal troubles. So anything like that can be an emergency situation where you need money. Now, Innis College actually has money set aside for situations like this, for urgent needs and unexpected needs. So we actually have an amount of money, I think it's about $115,000 from the office, from Central U of T that they send to us to dispense to students who are in a financial bind. So it's emergency funding when other resources fall unexpectedly short. So ask yourself, is this an unforeseen need, or did I fail to budget properly? We have a Is there a question? Oh, no, sorry. We have an actual budget subcommittee that meets on a bi-weekly basis. The one thing that they kind of take into consideration when they look at the application that we fill out for a bursary, is this person really in financial need, or did they just kind of fail to budget properly? It's not to say that you wouldn't qualify for a bursary, it's just that we take everything into consideration when we do that. So just keep in mind, is this an unforeseen need, or did I fail to budget properly? Applications are available at the Registrar's office starting in October, and book a financial advising appointment with me. So if you run into unexpected emergency situation or urgent situation where you really need money to make ends meet, to pay your rent, to buy food, whatever it is, come in and talk to me and I can work through a grant application with you. I'll take it to our bursary subcommittee, we'll discuss it completely anonymously, looking at the numbers we've plugged in, and we'll see if you're eligible for a bursary. But again, the money is there to help students who are in urgent need. The summer. Work, work, work. This is really important. Like I said, OSAP expects that you're working in the summer, and that's the time to do it, is to find a full-time job in the summer and save money. If you plan on studying in the summer, you have to ensure that you have the funds and that it doesn't impact your finances for the upcoming year. So only take summer courses if you know that you're in a financial position to do so. So you won't save as much for the fall, winter if you're taking courses, and there are no grants or bursaries in the summer session. So keep that in mind too, that the financial options are limited in the summer. And if you end up owing a back balance coming up to the fall, you must clear it and then deal with your fall winter fees. So you can't have outstanding fees. They won't let you enroll register in the next semester if you haven't paid your back balance. So you have to make sure that you're vigilant about paying your back balance and make sure that you always do that. So if you need help, I'm available for financial counseling. Call or drop by the office to make an appointment. The office, I hope you all know that the Registrar's office is just right out here through the sliding doors. We're all really helpful, and I hope that you take advantage of it as a resource. It should be your first stop when you have trouble with anything, whether it's personal, academic, financial. Stop in, book an appointment with one of us, and we'll work through it. And if we can't work through it with you, we will point you to the one person who can, so you don't get the runaround. Admissions and awards can offer more detailed questions about OSAP and other student loans. So any issues with appeals or problems with your OSAP or questions about your assessment, I can give you general guidance and advice, but for specific questions to your case, the Office of Admissions and Awards. It's the central unit on campus. It's at 172 St. George Street, right across from St. George Station. You can speak to an OSAP counselor there. So thanks for your attention, everyone. It was really great to meet all of you today. Are there any questions that people had at the end of this session? If you have any questions, you can always come and speak to me privately. I'm happy to answer them. So again, thanks for showing up, and look forward to seeing you all in September. And don't forget about the 2 sessions that are coming up. Thanks, guys.